Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. Today, we are going to start with another unit, which is Unit 3. So, Unit 1, we've already done, which is Mahabharata. And I think Unit 2, you're doing it with Shreya ma'am, and she's doing Kalidasa. So, in this unit, you will find some overlaps with Kalidasa because we're also going to talk about another Indian play, but it's very different from Shakuntala. And to me, it's a lot more interesting than Shakuntala, and I hope that you will enjoy it. So, as always, please type your questions in the Q&A, everybody. And very nice to see some of you already in the class. And I think that you can see my PPT. If you can, please type in the Q&A that you can see it so that I can continue. Okay. Thank you, everyone. आप just जितने लोगों ने भी बताया कि हम you can see your PPT. That's okay. You can मुझे मिल गए हैं सारे messages. Perfect. Thank you. There are so many people in class. Wow. 42. बहुत सारे messages I'm getting and I've gotten अभी तक मुझे okay guys, you can stop telling me. आपको दिख रही है? I've gotten around 60 messages now. चलिए, so let's start. यहाँ पे I have a heater on, तो मुझे काफी गर्मी लग रही है, तो मतलब undo my jacket. चलिए, so आज हम क्या play कर रहे हैं? What play we are going to study today is called Mircha Kathika. Okay, it's a difficult name. और आपको शायद हो सकता है depending on what exam you get, so be very careful to spell the name correctly because ये बहुत ही basic चीज है when you write an exam paper or when you do an assignment that you get the name right of the play. Okay, so Mircha Kathika is what we are going to do today. And in English, it is translated as the little clay cart. So this is, as you all know, first year English honors, and it's from the English classical literature paper, and it's the core paper, which is the first one. Okay, now Mircha Kathika was written by somebody called Sudraka. Okay, and usually when we have कोई भी चीज लिखी गई है, तो of course there has to be somebody who's writing it, right? There has to be an author. There has to be someone who is who is doing the writing, and the idea here is that, just give me a second, मुझे यहाँ पे बहुत मेरा जो text stamp है, it's really hitting my face. I'm going to turn it off actually. Yeah, it's better this way. Yeah, so what are we really but because Mircha Kathika is such an old play, like it's been written thousands of years ago, so there is a lot of disagreement or unsurety कि exactly किसने लिखा. Okay, so we say that it was written by somebody called Sudraka. All right, and why did Sudraka, and why do we say this? Because in the play itself, it is mentioned that in the play itself, like the one who's writing the play mentions that, oh, this play has been written by this great king called Sudraka, and so on and so forth. Okay, so exactly Sudraka kaun hai, right? So he is supposedly, now we absolutely don't know this for sure. Okay, so he was an Indian king and a Sanskrit playwright. So Mircha Kathika was actually written in Sanskrit. Okay. And the idea was that कि उस टाइम पे जिस टाइम पे देखा गया था उस टाइम पे usually, if not entirely, the plays were written in Sanskrit, which is our ancient language. So जैसे कि हमारे अभी हम लोग जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं, गुजराती में बोलते हैं, मराठी में बोलते हैं, बंगाली में बोलते हैं. So these are languages which are current languages. Sanskrit में भी nobody really actually talks in Sanskrit. It's very similar to in Europe, जैसे कि Latin है. And Latin languages से बहुत सारे current languages हैं, जैसे कि French है, French है, English है, so Italian है. So it's similar to that. Like, so Sanskrit and Latin, जो Latin Europe में है, वैसा Sanskrit India में था. Okay. Now there are, अब Sudraka के 3 plays हम लोग बोलते हैं कि उसने 3 plays लिखे हैं. One is Mircha Kathika, जो हमारे course में है, which we are going to study. And then we have Vinavasava Datta and a Bhana. Okay, a Bhana is basically एक छोटा सा play होता है जिसमें एक monologue होता है. And what is a monologue? तो मोनोलॉग होता है जब एक जना बात करता है, तो जिसमें जो सिर्फ एक ही जना बात कर रहा है उसको बोलते हैं हम मोनोलॉग। ओके, तो ये जो मोनोलॉग है ये हो सकता है कि एक कैरेक्टर है स्टेज पे, वो बात कर रहा है, ठीक है, और वो हो सकता है किसी इमेजिनरी बंदे से जो आपको जिसे आप देख नहीं सकते, ठीक है, या फिर वो अपने आप से बात कर रहा है, या फिर वो डायरेक्टली हो सकता है ऑडियंस से कुछ बोल रहा हो, तो उसे हम मोनोलॉग कहते हैं। द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ मोनोलॉग एंड डायलॉग इज बेसिकली दैट अ डायलॉग ऑलवेज हैपेंस बिटवीन टू और मोर पीपल. Okay, so like I say something, I say, hello, how are you? And you say, I am fine, thank you, how are you? So this is a dialogue. A monologue would be that, I wake up in the morning and I start talking to myself, oh, आज मुझे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, कितना बुरा दिन है, ये वो, ठीक है. And another play which he has written is Padma Prabhitaka. Now, you don't really need to remember all these names. And what I would suggest is, अगर आप लोग अपने लैपटॉप में हैं या फिर अगर आप अपने फोन पे हैं, तो you can just take screenshots of these जो आपको दिख रही है ना पीपीटी अपनी स्क्रीन में, and then you can go back to it. But I have already shared, हमें एक जगह पे अपलोड करने के लिए बोलते हैं PPTs the solve, ठीक है. So I don't know कि when they will become available to you, but they should. And another thing is that I want to mention to you guys is that you have to be careful about what book you're buying. तो मिर्चा का दिखा की जो मैंने ये फोटो डाली हुई है ना आपके यहाँ पे, तो this is the book. Okay, so if you Google it on Amazon, ये आप नाम टाइटल डालिए, you will see this book. It's about, I think, 200 rupees or something. So you can order it from Amazon, and I really suggest that you buy the book. Yeah, and another question जो मुझे बहुत सारे प्राइवेट मैसेजेस आ रहे थे, which was about कि मैम रिकॉर्डिंग कैसे व्यू करनी है अगर क्लास मिस हो जाती है. तो रिकॉर्डिंग्स जो है ना, दे आर नॉट इन माय कंट्रोल बिकॉज आई डोंट रिकॉर्ड देम. जो आईटी टीम है सॉल्व की वो रिकॉर्ड करती है, ठीक है, एंड दे विल अपलोड इट. सो जो वो अपलोड होती रहेंगी आपको दिखती रहेंगी. तो अभी तक अगर नहीं हुई है तो उन्होंने अपलोड नहीं किया है, बट दे विल डू इट. ये आप डोंट वरी कि वो लोग नहीं करेंगे, दे विल डू इट. ओके, सो डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट, राइट. सो नाउ coming back to the topic, and please understand जो ये PPT के जो मैंने दिखाई है आपको एकदम पहले पेज में जो फोटो दिखाई है, that is the cover of the book, so you need to get that specific book, ठीक है. Now, what are some of the claims? Now the real name of Sudraka. Now this is a claim. Okay, now we don't know this is true, but just one of the people, like a lot of historians and literary critics are saying this. Now the real name of Sudraka was Indrani Gupta, and he was an Adhira king of either the 1st or 2nd century AD. This is just one of the claims, okay? So don't think that this is the only answer. Now, Sudraka himself, like the name Sudraka is actually mentioned, और जैसे मैंने ये आपको दिख रही है ना, यहाँ पे एक अलग spelling है Sudraka की, और यहाँ पे एक अलग spelling है. तो the dash over the U makes it like this. But you can just spell it essay. Okay? You don't have to spell it in a different way. You can. This is not really necessary. So now the story of Sudraka is actually mentioned in something called Vetala Panchavimsati, which is 25 tales of the Vetala. Okay, Vetala basically means Vetal, and I am not entirely sure if they are referring, if this means the Vikram and Betal ke jo tales hote the na, which we had heard when we were growing up. So I'm not sure of this. And so Sudraka is mentioned in this 25 tales of Vetal, and this 25 tales of Vetal is actually part of a much bigger, larger literary work, okay, called the Katha Saritra Saga, okay, Katha Saritra Sagara, okay, which literally means the ocean of streams of story. Okay, now Sudraka, और हिंदी में इसे सूद्रक, जैसे मैंने आपके यहाँ पे हिंदी में लिखा है. और इस स्टोरीज में क्या मेंशन है कि इसमें ये जो वेताला पंचा, इतने लंबे लंबे नाम है, वेताला पंच का विंसति, इसमें सूद्रका को कैसे डिस्क्राइब किया गया है. ही इज एन एंशिएंट किंग फ्रॉम स्वभावती. ओके, and this is mentioned in the 78th chapter of Katha Saritra Sagar, and accordingly उसमें ये लिखा गया है, there is a city on the earth rightly named Shravavati, In it, why is it called Shobhavati? Because it's very beautiful. Shobha, right? It's coming from the word Shobha. In it, there lived a king of great valor called Sudraka. The fire of that victorious king's might was perpetually fanned by the wind of the chowries waved by the captured wives of his enemies. Okay, so it basically means that when it says waved by the captured wives of his enemies, it basically indicates that Sudraka was a very powerful, a very strong king, and what it's basically indicating is that जब एक किंगडम दूसरे किंगडम को हरा देता है तो एक किंग दूसरे किंग को तो मार देता है, ठीक है, और जो उसकी जो वाइफ्स होती हैं उसको वो अपनी जो विक्टोरियस किंग है, जो हारे हुए किंग की और डेड किंग की जो वाइफ्स होती हैं उसको उनको अपनी वाइफ्स नहीं बनाता, बट उनको यूजुअली अपनी सेक्स स्लेव्स बना देता है, दासीज बना देता है, ठीक है. So that's what it's basically referring to here. All right, now keep in mind that ये जो definition है, ये जो idea है सुद्रका का, like हम लोग पहले like fictional stories में this is the first time we actually hear the name Sudraka. And in the play itself, जो हम play पढ़ते हैं in the prologue, and I'll tell you what a prologue is. वहाँ पे the writer says that I am Sudraka, the great king. So it could be there is a very good chance to write the real writer is actually not Sudraka. He's just taking the name. He's just taking the name of this mythological, of this literary figure from this book. Okay, तो जब हम बोलते हैं कि सुद्रका ने ये प्ले लिखी है, it could also be that ये जो नाम है, this is actually not the name of the actual author. It is probably just a a taken name, just a name taken from another literary work, okay, which is the Katha Saritra Sagara. Okay, now moving on. Now the drama of Mitrikatika was discovered as his work, and it is divided into 10 acts. Okay, so acts क्या होती हैं? Acts basically जैसे कि एक play है तो वो हिस्सों में बटी होती है. They're divided into parts, and these parts are called acts. And within these acts, you have scenes. So there could be 2 scenes, 3 scenes, or one act could just have only 1 scene. ठीक है? और scenes का मतलब क्या है? जैसे scenes का मतलब है कि एक scene घर पे हो रहा है तो एक scene बाहर हो रहा है, तो एक scene character A and B के साथ हो रहा है तो अगला scene character C and D के साथ हो रहा है. Okay? So the acts, so there is the play, उनके अंदर acts होते हैं और acts के अंदर scenes होती हैं. All right, so there is play, act, scenes. Okay, and another very important thing about Sudraka is that it is supposed to be one of the oldest Sanskrit drama. Now it is believed. Don't say that it is believed. Remember that, because we really cannot tell that is it really, because हो सकता है कि इसके पहले भी कुछ plays लिखे गए थे and we have not been able to discover them. So we think that it might have been the oldest play. And also keep in mind that we don't really know the exact date of when it was written, and excuse me, and it could be that it is very that इसके आगे भी कुछ plays लिखे गए थे और हो सकता है कि जो इनके time पे जो और playwrights लिख रहे थे तो उन्होंने कुछ और लिखा होगा उस time पे. So we don't know. So it is believed to be the oldest Sanskrit drama. Okay, now we don't know anything about Sudraka, as I already said, except that he hailed from Ujjaini. Ujjaini अभी भी इंडिया में है, Ujjain, right? And there are really no historical records of a king by the name of Sudraka. Okay, there is really, that is again like in the play में ही बोलते हैं कि the author is the king Sudraka. Okay, but as I already told you that historically हमारे पास कोई proof ही नहीं है कि there was actually a king by this name. So it's very very likely that जो ये नाम है Sudraka, that was borrowed from the Katha Saritra Sagara. Okay, so जो actual जो author है उसका नाम हमें नहीं पता, तो he is using a pen name. What is a pen name? A pen name is basically a name that you use for that is not your real name, and you use it to write books. तो ये आप अपना रियल नाम ना लगा के आपने कुछ नया नाम बनाया और आप उस नाम से आप पब्लिश कर रहे हो बुक. एटलीस्ट इस जमाने में you will be publishing. उस टाइम पे you are using a different name or an anonymous identity or a hidden identity, and that's why this is called a pen name. So in most likely Sudraka, because हमारे पास कोई historical proof नहीं है that there was actually a king called Sudraka, but at the same time we know that this name Sudraka comes up in a play, comes up in a collection of other stories stories, which is also, you know, not history. It is just stories. Okay, so it's most likely, you know, not the real name of the author. Actually, you know, 99% is not the real name of the author. What does Sudraka mean? It means a little servant. Now I will come back to why why did he pick the name Sudraka out of all the names. Moving on. Now this play is now why so apparently we assume that he's from Ujjaini. And why is Ujjaini so important? Because it was assumed to be the florescence of poetry and theatre. Matlab, around this time, like around 5th century or Gupta Empire ke under, Ujjaini एक city tha, and at that time, is 5th century Gupta Empire ke under, it was flourishing, it was evolving, it was you know, it was sort of क्या कहते हैं, like it was उस time पे art और literature का बहुत strong role था. Okay, and this was specifically coming from Ujjaini, और इसी region से there were some very important playwrights such as Vishaka Datta, Shudraka, as we're studying, and Shamalika and Kalidasa. So again, you don't need to remember all these names. You already know Kalidasa, and we are doing Sudraka here. And now there is another interpretation कि किसने लिखी है Mirchakatika, and a 14th century text says that Mirchakatika was actually written by 2 people. Okay, so one of them is Bharti Mehta and the other is Vikramaditya. Okay, but again, we don't know if this is for sure. जो ये book, जो ये 14th century, nearly क्या कहते हैं 900 years later, somebody is saying that अच्छा ये play ना 2 जने ने लिखी है. Again, we don't know if this is actually correct. Okay, and Mirchakatika, because what we do know is that this play was written during the Gupta Empire, and this was written in the city of Ujjain. So automatically, or you know, logically, the play is also set in Ujjain, or like what we understand as modern day Ujjain. Okay. Now, I am sure that you all have already studied a little bit about the Indian classical drama, and but I will still go over because I am not sure if you've covered this topic or not. So what is Indian classical drama, or what is drama for us Indians? Okay, so it's a literary composition. Okay, drama usually tells a story, right? Now you will say, but ma'am, that is the case with all literature, but that is actually not true. For example, something like a poetry doesn't necessarily have to tell a story, right? A poetry can just be an expression of emotions, an expression of क्या कहते हैं, like you know, it can be that you know, you are thinking and you're trying to just put in your thoughts. It doesn't necessarily have to have a story, but a drama, or at least Indian classical drama, usually tells a story. So now, as drama has evolved, there are very, very different forms of drama, and some of them don't really tell a story. Some of them might just come on stage, and it might be something completely absurd. It's not making any sense, and it is intentional कि हम लोगों ने ऐसा play क्यों बनाया, and we will not get into that. But but during the time of Sudraka, plays were meant to tell a story. Okay, and how do you tell the story? Like, okay, so when you read a novel or when you read a short story, how do you tell a story? You tell the story through words, right? कि कुछ words लिखी गई हैं और आप उसे पढ़ रहे हैं, and that is how, and you read and you realize कि, okay, so this is what is happening, right? Now here, interestingly, what happens in drama is not that we don't use words. Of course we use words. There are other forms of dramas as well जहाँ पे we don't really what do you say, we don't really use any words, right? Like सिर्फ drama जो mime theater बोलते हैं ना, MIME, it's all just, you know, hand expressions and face expressions. But now let's say we are using words, okay, so which we do in drama, and what happens is that it is not just drama. It is not just that I sit here and मैं एक ही monotone में बोलती रहूं कि hello, hi, मुझे चोट लगी है, मुझे खाना खाना है. So it has a lot to do with how you act. So drama is not just about sitting and saying some words. It's not a lecture, okay? It is also about, you know, gestures. Ki how how am I moving my hands, right? Okay, so that's very important. Then it is also about movements, that how am I moving my body, because body language se bhi up you can learn a lot of things, right? And then you have things like facial expression. So if you can see my face, and if I say मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है, right? And if I make an angry face and say मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है, and if I move my hand and if I stomp my if I hit my hand on like make a fist and hit it on the table, it means that I am expressing it through my body, through my face, through my words. Okay, and this is what drama is. So when you it's not just saying something, it is also about using your body, your hands, your facial expressions to convey what you're feeling or what you're thinking or your opinion. Okay, and all of this is complemented by characters, of course, because the characters are the ones who are doing the talking. And uske alawa bhi, besides just the dialogic nature of a drama, there are dances in Indian drama. There are elaborate costumes to make it look interesting so that it's visually also appealing. Right now, if I'm wearing what I'm wearing right now, and if I say that I'm in a drama and I'm pretending to be a queen, it's going to look completely absurd, right? So, and then of course the background landscape, as in aapka set kaisa hai, aapka scene kaisa hai. And then if there's dances, there's music, and so on and so forth. So all of this come together to tell to have for you to have a wholesome, a beautiful experience of just hearing, seeing, and experiencing a story. So drama is really not about you open a book and you read a story. It's actually just about experiencing something. Okay, so. And this is the reason why it has been thousands and thousands of years, and we have had drama, and drama has always been here. Even today, drama is extremely popular. Okay, and so what is really drama? Drama is basically a performative art. Okay, or even you can call it act. So when you write a novel, you're not really performing. You're not really performing for anything. You're just telling a story. Okay, but when you tell a story through drama, you perform the story, like you represent the story. So it is what we call a performative art. Okay, and this includes very many components, right? And for example, and it's not just one person. So again, in opposition to, let's say, a novel where one person writes it, and in today's world one person will write it, there would be an editor who would edit it, but so maximum two people. Okay, but the creative content is done by one people, or maybe if there are more than one authors, or more than maybe two or three people. But in drama you need so many people doing different roles, right? So it's not just the actors. We only see the actors, but then there is the playwright who writes the play. Okay, and then there's the director who directs the play, and they're not the same things. So okay, sometimes the director and the playwright are the same, but प्ले लिखना और उसको फिर कैसे परफॉर्म करेंगे जो लिखा हुआ है, how to turn words on a paper into something visually descriptive, into a performance, is something what the director does. Takes the play and then converts the written words into a visual spectatorial performance. Okay, and of course drama has a very important content, or a very important necessity, which is the audience. Like if you are performing, if it's a performing art, yes, you can do drama for yourself, for your own entertainment, but essentially drama is done for an audience. Like you're doing this because so that people can come and see you, right? And another thing is that all major civilizations had in their own versions, and they all have their own versions of drama, right? So there's Greek, there's Chinese, there is Indian, and there are a lot of dramas from all around the world. It's not something which is just specific to Indian. And though the oldest forms, or what we think in our relevance, would be Greek drama and would be Indian drama. Okay, and another thing that is very crucial for us is to understand that that drama is not something which has ever gone out of popularity. There has never been a situation in our you know, in India at least, where drama was not performed or it was ever outlawed. Like it was never said that you cannot have drama. Okay, even you know, India got colonized for 250 years, and then drama still kept continuing. So there was never a stop in drama. Of course, it evolved, but it never stopped. And this is very important. Okay, because many literary forms, they come and they're popular for a brief period of time in some country, but here in this case, this is drama has just always been popular. Of course, its type has changed. Okay, now one of the major problems with determining that कब exactly drama शुरू हुआ, like what was the first ever drama performed in India, we do not know this. Okay, and the reason why we don't know this is because it is so old. It is thousands and thousands of years old. It could even go back all the way to the Indus Valley civilization, and you can, like, it could, there are instances in Mohenjo-daro and you know, in and Harappa civilizations, that there were signs of entertainment which would be very similar to something like drama. Okay, so it is so old that we cannot say ki on this day the first drama was written and on this day the first drama was performed. Okay, so we cannot pinpoint an exact year. So and the fact that we can't pinpoint it just sort of shows that just how old it really is. All right, now however, like jitna hamare paas, and of course, how do we find history? Kab se hua? Well, it's of course about the whatever material has been written years ago. So there is a possibility that drama had been around for several years, and we have just, and you know, we have just never seen it. We've probably never experienced it. I'm sorry, we don't have written evidence of it. हो सकता है कि oral traditions में बहुत सालों से drama चल रहा है, and but there had not been any written evidence. Now, when I say that the Indian dramatic tradition was influenced by the dramatic elements found in the Vedas, I am saying this because हमारे पास जो starting from the written proof we have from of the oldest drama, this is what it is. हो सकता है कि इसके पहले भी बहुत dramas हो रहे थे and they were not influenced by the Vedas, but we cannot say this for sure because it was not written down or we don't have any written proof of it. So whatever written proof we have of dramas, we can trace it back to, you know, dramatic elements found in the Vedas. Okay. Now, it is in this Vedic era that we see dramatic elements, and that will come to define drama, you know, in the years to come. So the Vedic era was 15,000 to 1,000 before Christ. And I hope you understand what before Christ and after Christ, or so CE, जो CE आपको पीछे नीचे दिख रही है, CE also means AD, Anno Domini. हम पहले Anno Domini use करते थे. Now CE is more common, and BCE means before Christ, or sometimes we would just call it BC. Okay, so this was, and of course, you know, so just think about it, like just how old it is. So 15,000 to 1,000 years BC, that is easily some, and given we are in 2022, 2020, 21 now, and so this means that it is 3,500 years old, or at least 3,000 years old. Okay, so and it is since then that what has now, it is the Vedic tradition, and it was during the Vedic era that we have first written proof of drama, and that's why we think that this is the time which sort of defined what we call Indian classical drama today. All right, now even in the epics, right? Even in the epics such as the Mahabharata, you know, that support even in, so you know, when we studied Mahabharata, I told you that there are 18 books, and all of those, each book is sort of a complete whole in itself. Like you can just read them individually also, and they would make sense. And in many of these books, there are references to entertainment, and there are references to drama, and the fact that Mahabharata is talking about that there is drama, or nata, or nut as we say it, it could be, so if Vyasa is writing about it, supposedly Vyasa who wrote it, this means that this has existed even before the Mahabharata. So imagine this means it existed even before the Mahabharata, right? And however, coming down to um, you know actual proof that we have that talks about drama, or the first critical text. Now, this is not literature, but the first critical text on drama, ki drama kya hai, how do we understand drama, was called Natya Shastra. Okay, and it was written by Bharat Muni, and this is supposedly has been written in 3rd AD. All right. Now, Bharat Muni says that, and this is very important, and I think you have Natya Shastra in your background readings, and I think I will be the one who would be doing it with you. I will just check again, but yes. So, agar, and even if it's, I'm pretty sure it's there, but even if it's not there, we have it here, and you can, I'm going to explain a little bit of Natya Shastra to you right now. And by the way, in this class, I would work, give you a proper background of everything till now. All right. So, I mean, I don't know if it's dikh rahi hai nahi. It says that there are 32 slides, but we will not do all of them today. And that is just for my preparation. I will do maybe half of them or 20 of them. We will see hum log kitna aage ja sakte hain aaj. But what, as always, what I'm going to do is at around in another at 10:55. Okay, 10:55. So abhi 10:33 ho rahe hain mere time ke hisab se. At 10:55 I will look into the Q&A, and I will answer questions, and then we will continue again, and then again in the end of the class I will answer more questions. So as I always say, please direct your questions. Please direct your questions regarding regarding the text. Please do not ask me कि book कहाँ से खरीदनी है, exam में क्या आएगा, and all of that. This is not something, we have limited time, and this is not something I can answer you. And मैंने already आपको बता दिया है book कहाँ से खरीदनी है, and you can you can always network with your other classmates and find out these things, right? So anyway, now so Bharat Muni was the first person who actually defined what drama is, or what drama should be. Okay, and this book was called Natya Shastra. Yeah, and Bharat Muni ascribes a divine origin through the dramatic tradition. Okay, he says that drama evolved through some intervention of gods, that Bhagwan ne banaya hai drama. Okay, divine origin, that's what it means. Okay, and that again sort of highlights that it has Vedic religious beginnings, because of course Vedas are essentially Hindu religious texts, right? And that again legitimizes the fact that drama has a divine origin, and this is what Bharat Muni is saying, that it has a divine origin, and which most likely he's in, and this connects with the idea that it has evolved from Vedic religious teachings. And this again, the idea of drama taking inspiration or taking content from religious books is actually very common, because, and this also happens in the West, in Europe. So aapka jo dusra paper hai, European classical drama, you will find some similarities, that the very first plays which were done in Europe were called morality plays, and these plays would essentially be stories from the Bible. So Bible was, because उस time पे literature इतना था नहीं, then Bible was the most important text, and they would enact stories from the Bible, moral stories ki ऐसा करो तो ये करोगे तो बुरा होगा, वो करोगे तो अच्छा होगा, or they would be stories about the life of their saints and so on. So similarly, in the Indian context also, many of them it evolved during the Vedic era, and many of the content which drama had was also coming from the Vedas. Okay, now and again, the fact that Bharat Muni ने Natya Shastra लिखा, where he actually said कि नाटक कैसे start हुआ, कहाँ से आ रहा है, क्या नाटक का मतलब क्या होता है, नाटक कैसे होना चाहिए. Again, this indicates that for Bharat Muni to write this, what is drama? Of course, there has to be a history of drama already existing. So again, and the fact that he's talking about how drama has evolved, and he's talking about this in 3rd century AD, right? And and you are just wondering, okay, so of course if he's writing about this, then it's not that he invented drama. Okay, he did not do that. This is not what Bharat Muni did, so be very careful about this. What he is basically doing is that he's tracing ki drama kaise evolve hua and so on and so forth. So if he is doing that, this again indicates that drama has been around for many years. Okay, now we have talked about Indian classical drama. Now I'm going to move towards Sanskrit drama, which is, let's say, a subcategory under Indian classical drama, because Indian classical drama is not just one thing. Uske andar bahut sari cheezein aati hain. And because we are studying Mirchikataka, we are going to focus on Sanskrit drama, right? Now, in a vast country like India, that cannot have a singular dramatic tradition. Okay, given the diversity, because in India, as you all know, that we have multiple languages, our cultures are very different. The southern India is very different from the north of India. The east of India is very different from the west of India. And because we all have so many diverse cultures, so many different languages, so there is not one single dramatic tradition. So drama has evolved in many different ways, and how it has evolved, of course, is affected by the local culture of that particular community, of that particular state. Okay, so so out of all of these, one of the most prominent forms of drama is the Sanskrit drama, and another form which include dance drama from Southern America. And of course, there are many forms like Jatra, which is from Bengal. That's where I am from, so I know that that's very typical. Jatra is very typical to Bengal. So just an example how different types of dramas we have. But one of the most prominent forms is Sanskrit drama. Now, according to the Natra Shastra, what is the purpose? What should a drama do? Okay, and even when you study European classical, you would be taught what really is what is the purpose of drama, and then you would see Aristotle, who would be telling drama kya hota hai, drama kaise hota hai in the European context. And so pay attention to what I am saying now, because it's going to be very interesting for you when you read how Europeans understood what drama should be and how Indians saw it. And are there any similarities? Are there any dissimilarities between the two things? Okay, so now, so this is what Bharat Puni said was a dramatic work's purpose was to provide not just entertainment and pleasure, but instruction and spiritual liberation. Okay, so here what he is saying is that drama ka matlab sirf ye nahi hota ki you go aur aapne kuch entertainment dekha and then that's it. A good drama would also give you some instructions about that. That means it would have some kind of a moral lesson that you should do this or you should not do that. Just like when we were studying Mahabharata, what were the main topics of Mahabharata which kept coming up? The idea of dharma, right? And the idea that everything is decided, and about predestination and free will, and then the idea is essentially the main idea of Mahabharata is dharma and adharma, right? So similarly, and well, of course, Mahabharata is not a work of it's not drama, but like a lot of critiques during the time when they were commenting on what type of genre we should be writing and what this genre should be doing. Many thought that literary works should be a mode of instruction, meaning it should tell you the right from wrong. Now, of course, in today's generation, in our contemporary society, we don't necessarily follow it. We don't necessarily say that every literary work should have some meaning, should have some purpose, or it should. Sometimes it's complete. Now, we have accepted in our society that literary works which are just for entertainment is fine, or even literary works which go against what we consider moral lessons, and it could show a different worldview, it could show an alternative worldview. So the idea of creative freedom is something which is very important now, is something which we have accepted, but it is also very heavily debated that how much of a creative freedom can you have. Okay, so so in this case, well, in the case of Bharat Muni, he is saying that according to him though, that this is what he's saying, is that drama is not just for entertainment. It is a way of getting information, and it is also a way of getting spiritual liberation. Okay, so there are two things that are happening in drama, three things. It is entertaining, of course. It has to be entertaining, otherwise आप देखोगे नहीं. Like, why would you buy a ticket and watch something? But at the same time, it should also give you some moral instruction, okay, some moral science lessons, and it should also, apart from some moral lessons, it should also have a religious connotation. It should also refer to something which is religious. Okay, so of course, at times, a lot of times we draw moral lessons from religion, but they can also be two very separate things. Okay. Another important, so what you can call, what basically Bharat Muni is saying is that drama is effectively what we called something infotainment, information plus entertainment, or edutainment, like education plus entertainment. Okay, so another very important thing is that because drama is meant to give you, is meant to instruct, and for spiritual liberation meaning that aapko moksha milega. Like, of course, like, that's not the idea of that, you watch drama and you want moksha, but it has that, like, it's supposed to sort of make you aware or remind you of your spiritual obligations and so on and so forth. Okay, so here the idea is really that dramas are not just something that you go and you watch. It is definitely not something like how most of Indian cinema, or in fact most of Indian drama is today. It's not supposed to be like that. That is according to Bharat Muni. Okay, and that's why we have Sanskrit drama. That's why in Sanskrit drama we do not have a tragic ending. Okay, and this is very, very important. This is very important because when you start doing European drama, the idea of tragedy and comedy becomes very important. They are the two very distinct styles of drama, comedy and tragedy. And comedy we have in the Sanskrit drama, or even in Indian drama as well. But tragedy, what tragedy is essentially defined as, which you will study a lot in your European paper, and then you also study in Shakespeare as you go further ahead in your course. A tragedy is essentially something where a man, or a man of high stature, so it has to be a king. It cannot be a common man. It has to be a king or a prince, or or in the case of, let's say, Othello, as Omkara, it has to be somebody who's powerful, and they are not effectively evil characters. They're not bad characters, but they have some flaw in their characters. So they end up making bad mistakes. They end up doing bad things, and then there are consequences, and those consequences usually lead to the death of the hero. Okay, so a tragedy essentially means that the hero, the protagonist, is not the villain. Of course, is the protagonist. He's not a bad character. He's a good character, but he has some character flaws, and those character flaws lead to bad things, and ultimately the hero dies. This is a tragedy. Tragedy ends in deaths. Okay, and comedies in European drama usually end in marriages. So this is what you should remember. However, in Sanskrit drama, we do not have tragedies. We do not have deaths of the main characters dying. Like, that does not happen. Okay, and that is not, and this is important because in Hindu cosmology, as many of you might already know, death is not the end. Okay, that is not the end, because it's just a way to achieve moksha. Now, in this case, I do refer to spiritual liberation as moksha. It's a way to achieve nirvana, like you die and your body gets free from the life cycle. And in case you don't gain moksha, in case you don't get spiritual liberation, then you are reborn, and then you live again, and then you die again, and this cycle keeps continuing till you receive moksha. Now, of course, I'm not saying this as a fact. This is what the Hindu cosmology believes. Like, okay, so so the fact that if you die in in an Indian drama, firstly, there are no deaths, but even if that happens, that does not necessarily make it a tragedy because, as I said, death is not the end. In fact, death is something can be seen as good. It can be seen that you are attaining moksha. You're getting free from this material body. That's the whole idea, that you leave the life cycle of death and birth and that you become free, right? Now, the next thing that is important that needs to be talked about is what really is you know what is rasa or ras. Okay, now ras is not juice. Okay, so what ras basically means aesthetic sentiment, and it is important. It is a very important aspect of drama, and it is basically means that the kind of feelings that is evoked. Okay, it can be best defined as the audience's refined emotions evoked by the play. So when you watch something, right, when you watch a movie and when you watch a play, you have some emotions, like you're not watching it like a completely detached person. You do feel certain emotions, and you think that, okay, what is happening, what is the what is like, I feel angry or I feel sad. Like, I cry a lot when I watch movies. So that's rasa. And so rasas are divided into 9 categories, and I'm not going to go into what all the rasas are, because I think we will touch upon this again in more elaborate detail when we do the background reading on Bharat Muni. And so, for example, there is Veer Ras. Veer Ras means the idea of courage. Then there's Karuna Ras, so the idea of sadness. And what I'm not saying that when you watch something you suddenly feel courageous. You would see that let's say the hero does something courageous, okay, like that he goes and fights a war and he wins. So that would be Veeras. Okay, now he's sort of performing. When he performs this courageous act, it sort of gets projected. You also see, oh, he's so brave, like, oh my god, like, and that sort of push triggers an emotion in you. Okay, so that is the purpose of rasas. Okay, now Natya Shastra also elucidates on different types of plays. There's even now, when we talk about plays, there are many types of plays. Even now we have like multiple types of plays, or what we can categorize. For Narad Muni, he said that there is a major type called the Rupaka, and a minor type called the Uparupaka. Okay. Now moving on to the next slide. Now there are two most important types of Nataka. Okay. So first is the heroic Natak. The heroic play would effectively deal with, very powerful people. So there would be kings or there would be gods, and these stories would draw from mythology or from history. Okay, so for example, Kalidasa's Shakuntala that you're doing, that is a heroic natak. Okay, because we are, of course, the main hero is a king, and there are multiple actors and characters who are gods or who are demigods and so on and so forth. Because Shakuntala herself is, remember Shakuntala, I don't know, I think Shreya has already taught you this, but Shakuntala herself is is half human and half Apsara. Her mother was Apsara, right? And so similarly, another example would be Bhavaduti's Uttaramacharita, and this also falls in this category. And the second category, and now keep this in mind that the Nataka is actually that the heroic natak is actually way more popular. It's much more popular than the second form, which is the Prakarna, which means social natak. And what really here is that the plot is basically about general people, like about people like you and me, about everyday life. Okay, so it could have it doesn't have, it could have a king. I'm not saying that there are no kings or whatever, but the king is not the main character. He's not the protagonist. Okay, I hope you understand the meaning of the word protagonist. Protagonist means that the main character and the main good character. Okay, the main good character is called the protagonist. The main bad character is called the antagonist. Okay. But besides that, there are so Prakarna is basically a play which talks about the main characters here would be ordinary people. Okay, and this would also include people from who are supposedly, considered bad. There would be like prostitutes, there would be gamblers, and so on and so forth. Okay, and so Mirchakatika is actually a play which is a Prakarna. It is not a Nataka. It is not like Kalidasa. And this is the reason. This is the reason why you have Kalidasa in your course, and at the same time you have Mirchakatika, so that you get two different versions of what really Indian classical drama really is. Okay, now Sanskrit drama's idealized plot structure consists of 5 transitions, all right, that lead to a annual culmination of the events depicted. All right, so there are 5 stages of Sanskrit drama and how the story proceeds. Okay, and so the first stage is the origin, and the origin is called the mukha. Okay, and here the seeds, or like this is like, we sort of introduce, or we sort of hint in, to the various degrees that this is where the plot is moving, like this is going to be the thematic and the thematic setting of the play. The second is the incident. Okay, the incident is called pratimukha, and the pratimukha basically develops the point. So you're introduced to the point in mukh, and then the plot is developed in the pratimukha, and this development of the plot can also include both good and bad events. Okay, and then the third is the germ, or the garba. Okay, this shows now this shows good actions. This is specifically, garba is essentially good actions which are also which lead to the aim. Okay, and this is the phal. So we have an origin, that this is the idea of the play, or this is the topic of the play, and then that topic is further described through the pratimukha, and then there is the germ, the garba, which are good ideas that push towards the aim. What is the ultimate end game of this play? And then there is a fourth element, which is the crisis. The crisis is the vimarsa, which basically is bad elements that try or seem to outweigh the good elements. So we have garba, which is pushing towards the aim. Okay, you have the germ, which push towards the aim, and then suddenly we have the crisis, which pushes you, which pushes you towards the like sorry. Then you have the crisis, which sort of stops you from getting the aim. Okay, right? So it stops you. That there's the crisis. That of course, अगर सब कुछ easily हो गया तो फिर play में मजा ही क्या आएगा. So the germ and crisis fight together, and we have to see who ultimately reaches, whether we reach the aim or not. And then that's when we come into the fifth point, which is the completion, and the completion is called nirvana. Okay, and here all the different narratives and all the different stories ultimately come to a conclusion. And usually in Sanskrit drama, we do end up reaching the aim. That is the aim of the germ, jo garba, trying to reach the phal, is usually how it ends, and the crisis jo hota hai, the vimarsa, that is sort of controlled or destroyed or removed, and then finally we reach to nirvana, which is the completion of the play. So jo sare topics hain, alag-alag narratives hain, alag-alag stories, because kabhi kbhar kya hota hai ki ek drama mein sirf ek story nahi chalti hai. So there would be a main story, but there would be other minor characters, or unke bhi छोटे-छोटे plots hote hain. So all of these come together in the completion. All right, so here I am going to stop, and I'm going to look into the chat, and if you have any comments or any doubts, so I will quickly browse through, and so I will spend maybe 10 minutes doing this. So if you don't want to listen to this, you can come back in another 10 minutes. Okay, so you can take a break and then come back in 10 minutes, but I will just go through the chats and everything. I am able to see. Okay, a lot of these comments are just you guys asking me that the PPT is visible. So what I really want you guys to do is you appoint somebody, you appoint one person Thank you, Ishita, for saying that you like taking my classes. But what I'm saying is that you appoint one person. Okay, appoint one person and send me a message अपने ग्रुप में से किसी एक को अपॉइंट करो, okay, and send me a message on Microsoft Teams so that I can send you the PPT, okay. The issue here is that we are supposed to actually upload officially on a Sol's website, and we are allowed to share it. Now I can share you the link, or I can just I'll just send you the PPT, or you know, because I don't know if I can just share it with you in the announcements. Like, they are not letting me share anything here. So just ask that person to send me a message on Teams, and then I will send that person the PPT, and then that person is responsible for sending it. So you decide who this person would be, and this person just has to send me a message here on Microsoft Teams. But otherwise also, these PPTs are getting shared on the Solve website. So I don't know why they're not sharing it forward with you. It is just, it is just so difficult to handle online classes. Otherwise, agar aapko sach mein bahut dikkat hai, then just, take screenshots of whatever you're seeing right now. I'm just going through all your comments. I'm just checking that if you have any questions. And as I said, this would be for 10 minutes. European classical kaun padhayega? I don't know. It could be me, it could be somebody else, but most likely somebody else, because usually I teach both papers, but because of the COVID thing, we have a very different schedule now. So I don't know. I hope you will get somebody good. I'm sure you will get somebody good. Don't worry. How can you get your study material? Saul should be able to tell you where to get your study material. And as we keep going, as we keep doing every unit, I tell you which text to buy. I already told you which one to buy in the beginning of the play, and I showed you a picture of it also. कि कौन सी book है? ये वाली book Mircha Kathika, you can just buy it online from Amazon. It's like 200 rupees, okay? एंड अगर आप मिर्च कथिका की वाली बुक लोगे ना, तो उसमें इंट्रोडक्शन भी है, उसमें कुछ एक्सप्लेनेटरी एसेज भी हैं. सो दैट्स रियली ऑल यू नीड. यू डोंट नीड एनीथिंग एल्स. Just buy the book, okay? Was Sudraka a king? We actually don't know. So this is a question which has come up. Was Sudraka a king? We don't know this. He claims in his play, in the beginning of his play, the author says that, so I am Sudraka and I am a king. But we don't know this, and we have no historical proof that Sudraka was a king. What we do know is that Sudraka के नाम से एक king था, जिसका mention एक दूसरी कहानियों में किया गया था. एक कथा चरित्र सागरा करके एक बहुत बड़ी बुक है, बहुत सारी स्टोरीज की, एंड उसमें एक किंग का नाम मेंशन है, शूद्रका. बट ये जो किंग है, इज नॉट अ हिस्टोरिकल किंग. ये कहानी में एक किंग का नाम है. सो इट कुड बी दैट ही जस्ट टुक द नेम, like from there was one of the reasons he took the name. Could be one of the reasons he took the name, but there is no real proof that Sudraka was an actual king. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Anshika. You should buy the book. If you want to do literature properly, you should buy the book. Just reading what Saul provides is not enough. Like, you are defeating the whole purpose of doing literature. You are supposed to read the literature and not just read what Saul says. And if you don't like reading, if you don't really like reading books, then this is not the course for you, because there is a lot of reading coming up in literature in the next 3 years of your life, and we expect you to read it. Otherwise, doing English honors, if you don't like reading, is just pointless. This should not be the course you're in, okay? People, please don't ask me syllabus and book. And Hemant, please don't spam. You've sent the same message like 5 times. Yes, Jyoti, the class is getting recorded. It is not my job to upload it. I don't do that. It is the IT team who does it, and they are supposed to upload it, and they will. Don't worry. I don't know when. They will. I will ask them, and I will let you know in the next class. Well, not next class. कल आपकी अगली class है. But I will let you know. But ये सारे upload होंगे online, and this would definitely be available before you have any assignment or any exam. Okay. Simi Chauhan, so Simi has a very interesting comment. Ma'am, as we studied in old centuries, women hadn't be write their names on their written plays or stories. they have to buy a pen name. Is it from that? It could be that this was written by a woman. That could also be true. And yes, pen name does come from that idea that essentially like it was women who usually used pen names because they did not, because पहले बहुत bias था women के against कि अगर कोई लड़की book लिखेगी या कोई औरत book लिखती है तो they will not buy it because we think that women cannot write. So a lot of women would write under fake names using male names and to get published. So this was actually quite common, and so that's when the idea of pen name became very popular. So good question, Simi. Sudraka is not the king in the play. Sudraka is the right. So the writer says that his name is Sudraka and he is a king. This is what the writer says about himself in the beginning of the play. But we do not know if this is true, and most likely it is not true. He's just we don't know who the writer, who the real writer is. Show the cover of the book again. I will show it. Not a problem. Which I'll just do it now. Which slide am I in? I'm on slide 7. I have to go on 8. Here is the cover of the book for those who want to see it. And if you want to take a quick picture of it, please go ahead and do that. Jaspreet, I cannot zoom anymore. जो ये जो format है वही होगा. Please make a group. I will ask the IT team to make a group, okay? You will not learn about the Harappan civilization in this course. Natya Shastra is not the first Indian drama. Natya Shastra is a book about drama, about what drama is. It is a critical book. It is not drama in itself. Somebody is asking me, first, do not ask me anonymous questions. I don't answer to anonymous questions, okay? If you have any questions about the text, then you should be sending me messages through Teams, not WhatsApp. Diksha is saying, ma'am, Sanskrit is in India, so it should be included in Indian classical drama. Yes, it is included in Indian classical drama. It is part of the Indian classical drama. It is one of the subcategories of Indian classical drama. I never said it is separate from Indian classical drama. Ma'am, describe the meaning of Natya, please. Natya means drama. That's what it means. This is Anshika. Bharat Muni was a kind of literature scientist. The word scientist we don't use in literature. We say literary critique, critic, critique. The word scientist is used for science. Ananya, this was Ananya. Is Sudraka a part of Kalidasa? I don't know. How are you coming to this question? Is Sudraka a part of Kalidasa? Sudraka is a different person. Uparupaka is so he divides plays into two types, major types and minor types, Rupaka and Uparupaka. So you don't really have to go into what it is. And for people who are saying, ma'am, I didn't understand Sanskrit Drama, third point, I don't know which slide you're talking about. So you have to mention the slide name or just type out the exact question. Okay, so I don't know which third point because बहुत सारे PPTs are just Sanskrit Drama लिखा हुआ है and third point है. Okay. Ma'am, can you please explain protagonist? Protagonist means the lead character, the main character in the play, and this is the good character. The main good character in the play is called a protagonist, and it can be a man or a woman. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a man. Okay. So Manya is asking, ma'am, can a drama represent a true story, or is it always a work of fiction? Drama can be historical as well. It can represent a true story as well. Okay. Basically, rasa means emotional attachment to the movie. Sneha is asking this. No, it basically means that when you watch a movie, or actually it's not a movie, it's a play. When you watch a play, it evokes certain emotions in you, right? So if you watch something very sad, you will cry. So it's that's what rasa means. Does it mean an emotional play? No, it just means that you watch something and the play is good enough, is impactful enough to evoke certain emotions in you. It can make you laugh, it can make you cry. That's what it means. Drama and Nukkad Natak. I will talk about this drama and drama. Somebody, Vimlesh has asked drama and Nukkad Natak. I will talk about it. Nirvana. Nirvana means moksha. Okay, what is Nirvana? Uh, Chishika is asking this. I'm sorry अगर मैं आपका किसी का भी नाम गलत बोल रही हूँ. What is a prologue? A prologue, we will talk about what a prologue is. प्रोलॉग बेसिकली मीन्स कि एक छोटा सा पार्ट आता है प्ले के शुरू में, कि प्ले के शुरू में एक इंट्रोडक्टरी पार्ट आता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड अ प्रोलॉग. ओके, can we say Ramayana is a tragic epic? Absolutely not, because the Rama does not die, so how is it tragic? It is not a tragic epic. Will I be teaching you European classical paper? I don't know. I wish. How many topics I covered? Mahabharata. I finished Mahabharata in the last class. For people who are talking about Hindi में बताइए. I do speak in Hindi जितना मैं बोल सकती हूँ, but the thing is that ये English honors की class है, so it is important that I cannot teach you English honors in Hindi, but I do speak बीच में हिंदी में, जो मैं आपको हिंदी में समझा सकती हूँ, but it's not, if your English is not, if you're not confident with English, then this is probably not a good idea to do this course. I'm just saying, but because you will have a lot of English to read. Okay, I think I have gone. Are dramas always imaginary? No, dramas can also be historical, and they can also be about religious things. Ma'am, Adarsh is saying, ma'am, can we say rasa is a way of connecting feelings to reader? Absolutely, that's a very, very good point. I'm just going to publish your comment because, oh, sorry, I published the wrong comment. Wait a minute. I don't know which one I published. Here it is. This is Adarsh's comment. That's a very good comment. So he is quite right about what he just said. And I am just going to start with everything again. Actually, people, the reason why it's taking me so long to find all these comments, because there are multiple comments about people asking me about WhatsApp group, about study material, about how to connect with me. You can always just message me on on my MS Teams. The thing is that because you're asking me, ma'am, are there any instances of absurd dramas in India? Yes, there are many instances of absurd drama, but these are more contemporary and you will study them later. Abhi, don't get very too excited to do all of that. Okay guys, just I'm sorry मुझे इतना time लग रहा है because यहाँ पे बहुत सारे ऐसे comments हैं जो I specifically said do not ask me these things, and वही सारे यहाँ पे सारे comments हैं, because अगर आपके actual references से what you're studying अगर वो समझ नहीं आ रहा है तो अभी पूछिए, और मैं वही I'm trying to find them and I can't see them because अभी इतने सारे comments हैं. अभी there are 334 comments. And I have 2 hours. तो मुझे वो दो अगर मैं ना पढ़ा के बस if I just start reading comments, okay. I will go through more comments at the end, ठीक है? And I will do थोड़ा सा extra time also. Coming to 8, right? So I'm continuing with Sanskrit Drama. I hope you're all here. It took me 15 minutes. I'm sorry, 15 minutes लग गए वो देखते देखते. और अभी भी बहुत सारे comments हैं. Anyway, so one of the very unique aspects of Sanskrit drama is that it is bilingual in nature. Bilingual matlab दो languages होती हैं usually Sanskrit drama में. And what do you mean? And now you will say that ma'am दो languages कैसे हुई? अगर Sanskrit drama है तो Sanskrit drama तो पूरा Sanskrit में होना चाहिए. But that is actually not true. Sanskrit drama में जो main characters होते हैं और जो higher caste के characters होते हैं जैसे ब्राह्मण और क्षत्रियस, they speak in Sanskrit. All right, and जो minor characters हैं और या फिर जो थोड़े से or so called those who belong to the lower parts of the society such as servants, they would speak in Prakrit languages. And yes, is it discriminatory? Is it discriminatory on the basis of caste, that that only higher caste can speak Sanskrit and the lower caste can speak will speak Prakrit? You are absolutely right. It is obviously very discriminatory, and this again sort of reveals the evils of our caste system, that we automatically assume that Sanskrit to सिर्फ उन्हीं को आती होगी जो Brahmins हैं और Kshatriyas हैं और बाकियों को नहीं आती होगी. And here a problem also sort of comes through, because and even saying that is not actually wrong, because the lower castes, the lower castes, they did not even have access to studying Sanskrit, so they spoke in what we call Prakrit, and that's why Sanskrit dramas have two types of languages. One is Sanskrit, which is spoken for the majority of the play, because जो main characters हैं and वो संस्कृत में बोलते हैं, and these could be Kshatriyas or Brahmins. Even जो हम लोग जो ये play पढ़ेंगे मिर्चा का तिखा, even though it is about a common man, you have to understand that yes, in a way, the Sudraka is relatively more liberal, but and yes, we are talking about a common man, but the common man is still a Brahmin. Okay, so and they speak in Sanskrit, and here is the issue, right? And the minor characters, they speak in Prakrit. And why there's a distinction? It's not that there's a distinction, because, and what are really Prakrits? For those you don't know, Prakrit is basically Indo-Aryan languages that was spoken between the time of 500 BC to 500 AD. Okay, so about for 10,000 years. And Prakrit matlab essentially hota hai derived, okay, which is in contrast to Sanskrit, which means something which is complete, or which is something which is perfect. So Prakrit is seen in opposition. So it's not that they are different but equal. There is a hierarchy. Okay, like there's somebody is like, so Sanskrit is, it's not Sanskrit is on the left and Prakrit is on the right. They are two different things, but they're seen as equal. No, Sanskrit is considered something which is perfected, something which is something which is pure and complete, while Prakrit is seen as something which is derived. So this sort of reflects that Sanskrit is considered more prestigious, is considered more better than the Prakrit languages. And we also see this, and that's why we have the Kshatriyas and the Brahmins, who are the higher caste, speaking the perfect, more pure Sanskrit, while the lower caste are speaking Prakrit. Okay, so again, the caste distinction sort of becomes very clear in the choice of who speaks what, right? Now, the main languages that are included here are, what Prakrit languages are, is Avanti and Maharashtrian and so on and so forth. And in fact, they are also used in dramatic literature and in poetry, of course. Now, what exactly is going on with Sanskrit drama is hang on, I want to see that मैं कहाँ तक आज आपको पढ़ाऊंगी. So what I am going to try and do is I will try and do till slide 16 today. Okay, and we will talk a little bit more about Sanskrit drama. Okay, so अब Sanskrit drama में क्या होता है? So there are some main stock characters. When we say stock characters, they basically mean that these are characters who are who are present in almost, if not all, Sanskrit dramas. The first character is called Sutradhar. Sutradhar, some people will say it's the narrator, but it's actually the stage manager or the director. And sometimes the Sutradhar is also the part of the play. When the Sutradhar sort of, and now understand this very, very carefully, because this can be a little bit confusing. The real director, actually major play direct karta hai na, that person is not the Sutradhar character in the play. Okay, so understand this. So Sutradhar जो है, वो play में एक ऐसा character है जो pretend करता है कि वो stage director है. Okay, so he will come on the stage and he will say, आज मैं आपके सामने ये नाटक प्रस्तुत करता हूँ, उसमें ऐसे ऐसे होगा और फिर ऐसे ऐसे होगा. Okay, so he is the stage manager of the play and he's a character. So understand, so there is an actor he plays the role of the Sutradar, where he is basically the stage manager. So there's an actor who plays the role of the stage manager in the play. All right. Now, जो actually में जो play का जो director है ना, वो एक अलग जना है. That's a different person. That's the real director is a different person. It could be that the real director is also an actor in the play, okay, and he might be playing the role of the stage manager. All right, so be very careful that एक real stage manager होता है, okay, that there's going to be a real stage manager, right, and at the same time there's a actor who acts the role of the stage manager in the play, okay, and this is called, and what does Sutradhar really mean? Sutradhar means somebody, the holder of strings. Sutradhar, somebody is holding the strings, okay. Of course you all know Nayak means a hero, a Nayaki means a heroine, and a Vidushak means a jester means that somebody's it's a clown or somebody who's a funny, like a comedic effect. So जो comedy के लिए है basically, ठीक है. तो usually विदूषक जो होता है वो नायक का एक अच्छा दोस्त होता है or something like that. All right. So for example, I'll give you a very relatable example. If you've seen Munna Bhai MBBS, so the Chirkut character is a vidushak. Okay. Now, so all these characters either speak in Sanskrit or in Prakrit, and this depends on their age, on their class, gender, and age. So another group of people who will not speak Sanskrit would be like very young kids, because essentially Sanskrit is a learned language. So एकदम जो छोटे-छोटे बच्चे हैं वो भी संस्कृत में नहीं ही बात करते. Sometimes even women, because as it is also true today, girls are not educated, right? And this is happening like thousands of years ago. तो उस टाइम पे भी काफी लड़कियों को नहीं पढ़ाया जाता था. Like girls would not be educated or taught, right? So in this context, you wonder that like, how do I explain it to you? And so in this context basically means that because girls are not being educated, उस time पे भी लड़कियों को नहीं पढ़ाया जाता था. तो अगर आप नहीं पढ़ रहे तो you don't speak Sanskrit. Now, of course, many playwrights would also show women who do not speak. Okay, like who do not speak Sanskrit and they speak Prakrit because they're just never ever educated. And again, we already showed how there is a caste hierarchy. Now there is again a gender discrimination, right? So such a linguistic construction of the play restricted, like a variety of people who could watch and enjoy it, right? So it is kind of like how do I explain it to you? Like in a sense that अब बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जिन्हें संस्कृत नहीं आती है, right? So if there is a play in Sanskrit, only those who understand Sanskrit will go and watch the play, or at least if you only understand Prakrit, then you will not be able to understand the full play. And the issue here is that now, when you do this, it automatically limits the audience. It will obviously be upper class people who are Brahmins, who are royalty, who are aristocrats and Kshatriyas, because they are the ones who have access to studying Sanskrit. Okay, so drama was very discriminatory in that sense that it discriminated against people who did not have the means or the opportunity to study Sanskrit, and this included not just the lower caste but also women. Okay, and then now such a linguistic construction is it's very different from actually European drama, because I told you that how it's bilingual, right, in the last slide. That there's Sanskrit and Prakrit. So in European drama, in fact, especially during the time of Shakespeare, जब आप Shakespeare पढ़ोगे, at that time there would be जो मेन कैरेक्टर्स होते हैं ना, और जो क्वींस और जो किंग्स और जो ये सब हैं, they would speak in verses, मतलब उनका राइमिंग में बात करेंगे, वो लोग राइम्स में बात करेंगे. Of course it's very unnatural, but वो राइम्स में बात करते हैं. और जो लोअर कैरेक्टर्स होते हैं, जो सर्वेंट्स हैं, ये सब हैं, और जो माइनर कैरेक्टर्स हैं, they will speak in in prose मतलब कि they will speak like how I am speaking, like जैसे हम लोग normally बात करते हैं, it's called prose, prose. And जो main characters, they would speak in rhyme, and where they would every sentence would rhyme with the next sentence. And of course, it's, as I already said, it's not natural, so there was a distinction like that as well, but the language was the same, right? Ki to anybody from the audience, anybody, in the city can go watch a play. But this was not the case with Sanskrit drama. This was not the case in India. It was because of Sanskrit, because not everybody spoke Sanskrit, not everybody had access to Sanskrit. Many people could not watch it. It was essentially drama was meant for higher caste people. In fact, even Bharat Muni, even Natyashastra, who wrote Natyashastra, even he says that, drama is basically for those people who are educated and who are noble men. Okay, and then he also says that अच्छा चलो ठीक है, अगर सबको ही दिखाना है तो उनको अलग-अलग बिठाओ, they cannot sit together. So he is very, very specific. He is very caste prejudiced. He's clearly against against lower caste, and he doesn't think that they are even worthy to see drama. And now even allowing them to to see drama. This is okay, fine, dekhne do, but unko sabko alag bitao, they cannot sit together, because at this time of like abhi in India, thankfully, since we gained independence, untouchability is criminalized, like it's illegal. Even though it still happens, it's illegal. And at that time, of course, untouchability was the way of life. So if let's say somebody from the lowest caste, somebody from a Dalit caste wants to go and watch the play, he would pehle to, like, his idea is ko dekhna hi nahi chahiye. And now let's say somebody does, they will not be allowed to sit with everybody else. So he said that you have to stay. And now here, this is where Sanskrit drama fails as a people's drama, because it is not something which is accessible to everyone. And this is very, very different from drama which is coming from Greece and England. Because in these countries, drama was something which was available for everyone. Like, it was not discriminated. Like, even a beggar can go and watch drama. Sometimes dramas were free, and you can anybody could watch it. However, in specifically in this case, it's very segregated, and that's a big difference between European drama, where everyone was welcome to watch it, and here that was not the case. And another thing is that European drama was always consistently in one language. How the language was said, whether it was done in verse or prose, that was different. But then it doesn't matter, as long as aapko language samajh aa rahi hai, aapko samajh aa rahi hai, you can watch it. But here Sanskrit drama was also bilingual. So not every people could watch it. Not every people could understand it. Okay. Now, another thing, now moving on, and one more thing you have to just keep in mind is that, that of course, like this, because Sanskrit drama was so, exclusive or very elite in the sense that there were other forms of drama which originated. Some of them is folk theater. Folk theater matlab jaise ki नाटकें जो हो सकता है पंचतंत्र की कहानियों पे बेस्ड हो, okay, and street theater, which is nukkad natak, and nukkad natak is pretty much the opposite of Sanskrit drama. Like, it is not elite, it is inclusive, and precisely because it happens on the street. And this is very important, and I want you to listen to this very carefully, that nukkad natak is probably the most egalitarian, or something which what we would call people's drama, okay, in the sense that it is like nukkad natak ka main cheez hota hai ki it's happening on the streets, so anyone can watch it, anybody is welcome to watch it, okay. Second thing is, because Nukkar Natak happens on the street, जैसे कि normally stage drama में तो एक stage होता है ना, so it's elevated and you're watching it. Nukkar Natak happens on the same platform, like it's flat, right? It's the street. So here the actors do not. It doesn't look like that the actors think that they are better. It is literally, the idea is that it's one man to another. It's a conversation, it's a dialogue with actors. So it becomes a lot more personal, a lot more attached, And the way Nukkar Natak is done, Nukkar Natak usually talks about, important social issues. We touch upon crucial social issues that really that concern us, that talks about the society. And there is of course a lot of dance and whatever, which also is a part of Sanskrit drama. That also does happen. But the idea is that Nukkar Natak is just a lot more accessible. This is what we call people's drama. It talks about people's problems. It happens straight on the street. Everybody is welcome. Everybody can watch it. While Sanskrit drama is essentially, or is only accessible to the elite, to the noble men, and probably not even women, like specifically noble men, okay, like Kshatriyas and Brahmins. Now, another aspect of Sanskrit drama that differentiates itself from this European counterpart is the composition of actors. So up until I think the 17th century in Europe, all the drama ka jo performance tha na, jo actors the, they would all be men. Now, that doesn't mean that the stories did not have women characters. It did have female characters, but they would be performed entirely by men. They would not be performed by somebody else. All right. So if it is being performed just by men, then how is it happening? So usually क्या होता था कि जो female characters होते थे ना, they would be performed by very young boys, like 13 years old or 14 years old. So they would be smaller in size compared to the adult men who were in the play, and they would basically take men or like boys जिनका voice crack नहीं होता. So I'm sure the boys are like, I think I'm assuming that almost everybody does know this already, that when they become teenagers, their voice changes, right? Their voice become deeper, and so on and so forth. So there is a very good. So they would not want, of course, boys sounding like boys. So they would take boys whose voice hasn't changed. So they had a softer voice, and so that's what. But in Sanskrit drama, and this is kind of ironic, right? Because Kafi, like, many women could not possibly watch the play because they didn't know Sanskrit, but there was no ban on female actors. So Indian drama, ever since we have had drama, we've always had female actors. So female actors would play female roles. It was just never the case where where a male actor was playing a female role in India, but this thing was happening for centuries in the European context. All right. Now, yeah, so as I already said, that despite all of these unique characteristics, there are, of course, that linguistic barrier. And another very strict characteristic is jo Sanskrit drama ke jo rules hai na, ki aapko ऐसे ऐसे ये करना है कि like jo, remember I told you there are 5 stages in Sanskrit drama, that how there is a origin, and then there is, we go further in the origin, and then then there are good things which lead to the aim, and there's a crisis, which are the bad things which try to stop from leaving the aim, and then finally reach the nirvana state, which is the completion. So it is very strict, and in the sense that it should work. So because it has so many rules, and the idea is that you must follow all these rules, it doesn't leave a lot of space. It doesn't leave a lot of space for individual creativity or trying to experiment with the genre. But of course, people have done that. And you would also realize, like the plays we do, so Machikatikar is not one of those plays. Like, it does follow all the rules, okay? But of course, there are plays who have done that. But at this time, the age we are looking at, the Machika, this time Sudraka and Kalidasa was writing, this was pretty much how Sanskrit drama should be done. All right. Now, And because Sanskrit is essentially right now it's a dead language, because when I say a dead language, I mean that it exists, but in books, like we don't talk in Sanskrit, like everyday life maybe we don't. And many of you might have done Sanskrit in school, but I'm sure that most of you have done Sanskrit more than you've done Hindi. Sorry, you've studied Hindi more than you've studied Sanskrit, right? Because we start studying Hindi since what? Since we start practically since we start school. But we do Sanskrit for like maybe 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5 years, but we don't do it. And it doesn't also make practical sense unless, of course, you want to go study further in Sanskrit. It doesn't really make practical sense to study Sanskrit precisely because we don't speak the language. It's a dead language, and so nobody really is writing in Sanskrit anymore, besides maybe some very few people. So, and because Sanskrit, ultimately because the language was declining, because the language is not popular enough, the people eventually lost interest in Sanskrit works. So there was a decline in people going and watching Sanskrit dramas, because because nobody really cared because of the language, right? So for example, if I start showing you a play in French in Delhi, how many people will show up? Not many people, right? Like you have to stay, because we don't speak French in India, huh? So now, all that said, that now it's not popular anymore. All that said, it is still a very important part of our Indian culture, and a very important part of of course, it has a lot of shortcomings, but it is still a very important part of our Indian culture and tradition, and therefore we study it, and therefore you have this in your course. Okay. Now, some more crucial things. There are differences. So usually Sanskrit dramas, the play range between 1 to 10 acts. However, in European drama, or especially in Shakespearean drama, when you will do Shakespeare, there are usually almost always 5 acts. Okay. I'm talking about Shakespeare, and I don't really exactly remember जो आपकी European classical में है उसमें कितने acts हैं, but 10 acts तो कभी भी नहीं होते. That's just way too much. Okay. And there are many, and now this is very important. Usually, there are these plays are always done with at least 2 actors. Like 2 actors to hoge. Usually there are like at least 15-20 characters in the play. But here it's very important to realize that the plays are done there are also 1 act plays, इसमें सिर्फ एक ही act होता है, and that only includes a monologue, which is what we call a bhana. And I already explained what a monologue is, which is basically, it's not a dialogue. I mean, I have explained as a dialogue carried out with an invisible person. So think about this way, that there is a person who is talking, and only he is talking, and he could be talking to himself. It's not always there could be some invisible person that you cannot see, or it could also be he is directly talking to the audience. Okay. Then you have the idea of the prasasana. Prasasana is a farce. Okay, a farce, which can also be classified into 2 categories. One of them is superior, and the other one is inferior. Okay, and both of them, and farce is basically farce, जो category जो farce है ना, इसमें क्या होता है कि बहुत ही मतलब slapstick type की comedy होगी, मतलब बहुत ही छिछोरी कॉमेडी होती है, ठीक है, that's what it is. Okay, तो वहाँ पे बहुत ही छिछोरा बना होगा, और बहुत ही stupid jokes होंगे. So I don't know if any of you have seen that new terrible movie, that Coolie #1, something like that. That would be a farce. Okay, so, and of course farces can be good, like sometimes you can have very crude or very vulgar type of jokes, but it can still talk about some important issues. But so there is a superior farce and there's an inferior farce. So now you decide that that Coolie #1 movie, is it superior or is it inferior? Like, it's definitely, for me, it's definitely an inferior category. Now there are 3 structural types of classical theatre. Okay, now structural type मतलब कि जब आप classical theatre देखने जाते हो तो उसका shape कैसे होता है, all right? So it's either a square, or it's triangular, or it's oblong. Okay, and they are in 3 sizes: large, medium, and small. Natya Shastra mein, Bharat Muni says that it should be like a mountain cave, that you're going inside a cave, it's dark, and uska matlab kya hua ki it should be completely dark, and bahar ki आवाज और bahar se आवाज sound ये सब हवा आनी नहीं चाहिए, and so that you know you can be completely immersed in the experience of the play. जैसे कि cinema hall जो होता है ना, he's basically saying कि वैसा होना चाहिए, एकदम अंधेरा. And this is again very different from Greek theatre, because Greek theatre used to be open air theatre, or this is of course very different from Nukkad Natak as well, right? So because Greek theatre जो होता था तो उसमें stage तो होता था, but जो acting होती थी वो खुले हवा में होती थी. हाँ, तो मतलब कहीं पे आप एम्पी थिएटर में होता था, ठीक है, इसको हम बोलते हैं लाइक ओपन एयर थिएटर में. सो वेरी डिफरेंट अगेन, ह्यूज डिफरेंस. हाँ, एंड ग्रीक थिएटर में, एंड आई एम सेइंग ग्रीक, एंड यू नो आई एम सेइंग स्पेसिफिकली ग्रीक क्योंकि यूरोप में जो यूरोप का जो क्लासिकल ड्रामा का जो ट्रेडिशन है, दैट स्टार्टेड एसेंशियली इन ग्रीक, इसलिए मैं ग्रीक बोल रही हूँ बार बार, ठीक है, ग्रीक मतलब जो ग्रीस से आया है. एंड here in the Greek theatre, the emphasis is on plot and speech. मतलब कहानी में क्या हो रहा है और उसे बोला क्या जा रहा है, that is very important. However, but like the Hindu theatre or like Sanskrit Drama, and I'm saying Hindu theatre because Sanskrit Drama was essentially Hindu. The time it was written, we did not have any Mughal invasion or anything, so the Indian population was essentially very homogeneous. ठीक है? So it was, that's why. But if you don't want to use a religious word like Hindus, you can say at that time the Indian drama. It used to focus. It focused on acting and on visual demonstration. Okay, so what it really means is that that you know आप किस तरह से act कर रहे हो. So remember in the very beginning of the play. So Greek theatre में जो speech है, जो आप जो बोल रहे हो, वो सबसे ज़्यादा important है. यहाँ पे it's not really so much the speech, it's also your acting, like how do you your hand gestures, your eye gestures, your facial expressions, your body posture. All of this is more important. It's, of course, the words are important, but the words don't mean anything. Okay, and there is visual demonstration, meaning कि आपकी खुद की, how are you moving your own body, how are you sort of acting, and so on and so forth. And at the same time, like just the visual, like stage setting कैसा है, कैसा सुंदर है, क्या है, ये है, वो है, ठीक है. And the aesthetic rule also differs. So there's a huge difference between rasa. Like we don't, so European classical theatre does not really have the concept of rasa. Okay, so as somebody had already pointed out very nicely when I was looking at all your comments, that rasa is effectively something that is that evokes a certain emotion in the text, in you. And so there is a very similar concept in European theatre, which is called the catharsis. Okay, and you will hear this word catharsis many times up until your second year. You will keep hearing this word. What catharsis essentially means is that आप जब एक European play देखते हो तो your engagement in it builds up. ये हो रहा है. So you get more and more involved. Okay, and then it reaches a climax where your attachment or your emotional attachment with the play is the highest, and this is at the climax. But climax is not the ending. So climax hota hai, uske baad the ending comes, which is not a downfall. Like, so ending mein kya hota hai ki jab climax hota hai, then something happens, and at that an ending, by the time you have the ending, you have catharsis in you, which basically means कि आपके जो सारे emotions है, all that emotional build up gets a purging. So वो आपसे बाहर निकल जाता है. Means that आपका all of ये सारा emotional build up हुआ, उसके बाद play का ending ही ऐसा होगा जिससे कि आपके जो सारे emotions है वो solve हो जाए. Like meaning that you are not left feeling emotional about it. Like, of course you can, but it doesn't mean that. So you have a relief of emotions, you have a release of emotions, that you're watching, and then finally the play comes to a conclusion and you're like, acha, okay, you know, so that is it. So yeah, so all that emotion builds up and then it releases. That is called catharsis. And of course, you will talk about this a lot more. We don't have this concept in Indian drama. So the idea of catharsis is not really an Indian idea. Like, sorry, it's basically an European idea. We don't particularly believe that that you need to have catharsis. Okay, like it's not something it's not something that is seen as acha ye, like we don't necessarily need to purge our emotions. We don't necessarily need to get rid of that emotional feeling that we have when we watch a play. Okay. Now, continuing again with the differences, and I am doing all of this, so keep this in mind. This is also covering a big part of your it's covering a big part of your syllabus from other units as well. So just keep this in mind, huh? Now, so Indian classical drama versus Greek classical drama, right? The division of the play into acts and scenes. Division of the play into acts and scenes, use of the chorus, development of stock characters, they're all influenced from the Greek theater. So the fact that the play is divided into acts and scenes, we don't really know that if the Indian classical drama or the Greek classical drama, they were influenced by each other. But the chances are that they just evolved at the same time. But usually just believe that now in the world of drama, the idea of dividing the play into acts and scenes is essentially a Greek idea. And then the idea of a chorus. Now, what is a chorus? Now, many of you would understand that chorus is basically something where people, where that there are a bunch of people, or आपके school में होता होगा ना chorus, there are a bunch of people and they sing. This is really what happens, and now this is again common in Indian drama as well. Chorus में क्या होता है कि there's a bunch of people and they are there. So let's say a play is set in Greece. Let's say it's set in Athens, which is the capital of Greece, and the chorus would also be, they would say the chorus is basically people of Greece, like that's their role, like it's a group, and सबका अलग-अलग नाम ना होके it would say that they are the people, the people in the like so it's basically a group, and we call them, let's say, people of Delhi or people of Greece. Okay, and they just stand and they sing. And when do they sing? So suppose let's say कि play में कुछ हो रहा है, and then let's say the heroine is very sad or something, so they will पीछे खड़े होके they will sing a sad song. So basically ये है background vocals, okay, like what we have in movies. So and they might also sometimes comment on the scene, that two people might start talking and say, oh, देखो क्या हो रहा है heroine के साथ, और देखो क्या हो रहा है hero के साथ. So this is what the chorus does, and this is also common. This is also common in Indian drama, but the idea is very, very prominent in Greek drama. And the development of stock characters. Stock characters basically वो होते हैं who are kind of present in all plays. So there would be a hero, heroine, vidushak, there would be a villain, okay, there would be a sutradhar. These are stock characters, and उनका development मतलब कि how do they progress? So usually development, hero heroine का क्या होगा, वो मिलेंगे, they will fall in love, फिर एक villain आएगा जो उनको separate करेगा. So very, very typical Hindi movie type, ना? So those, like उनका development कैसे हो रहा है. So these are influenced by the Greek theater. Then there are, of course, many differences that exist. One which I already touched upon, and this was important, is that there is an absence of tragedy, and in Indian theater. Why is that? Because first, for you to understand why there is an absence of tragedy, you need to know that the idea of tragedy is basically that how tragedy, which play do we call a tragedy? A play that we call a tragedy is essentially a play where the good hero dies in the end. Just to put it very simply, I gave a more elaborate explanation before, but I just don't want to repeat the whole thing again. So it's a play which ends in tragedy. Okay, so what really happens is, okay guys, so I'm thinking, because we only have another 15 minutes or so left, I am going to I'm going to do up until slide 7. I don't know if I can actually even do till slide 17, but let's try. कि वहां तक करना है, ठीक है? But like if I don't, it's fine. We have, I think, 6 hours assigned to this as opposed to 4 hours for Mahabharat. So it's plenty of time, and it's actually um, a good thing because अगर आपके regular classes भी होती ना, तो that's the amount of classes you would have gotten. So you're doing fine with this unit, so don't worry about it. So if you're thinking कि मैम ने तो कुछ पढ़ाया ही नहीं सुद्रका के बारे में, it will come, don't worry. But this is very important for you to understand these things, because all of this sort of helps you with the entire course as well. All right, so when I come back to Natya Shastra, later on, when I teach that after we finish Sudraka, which is a part of your background reading. And as for people who are asking me what the syllabus is, just Google it. Like, why can't you Google it? Like, you all have internet, right? So you can just Google BA Honours English SOL first year syllabus, first semester, and you will get it. It is available everywhere on the internet. Okay, so, and I am honest, I'm genuinely curious that why would you take admission in a course without knowing कि आपका syllabus क्या है? Like, would you not be curious कि आपको क्या पढ़ाया जाएगा? Would you just take anything? So this is very, very important that you know what the syllabus is. And I cannot stress this further. I do not appreciate students. I do not particularly like, I will not say I will help anybody who ask for my help in class. And just the problem is it's impossible because there's so many and I can't respond to everybody. You really have to read the book. Okay, you have to read the book. If you have just taken English honors because you want to do a gap year and you want to study engineering or whatever, that's different. But if you really want to study English honors because you really want to learn what really literature is, you have to read the main text. And I have repeatedly told people to not to buy guides, and yet I keep seeing millions of comments every day that ma'am guide hai. Please do not buy guides. Please, I don't know what will happen in the next, who will be assigned to you in the next paper, but in this paper I would like to think that I am trying to explain things to you as good as possible, and you really do not need guides. If you just buy the books में आपका जो story है, whatever है, वो पूरा उसमें है. उसके अलावा there's also an introduction which you can read, which will tell you कि क्या play है, किसके बारे में है, and उसके बाद में कुछ essays भी हैं जो आपको play के बारे में they will help you think more analytically, will help you think more critically as literature students. So please buy the book, okay? It's available online. You don't even have to go outside, just buy it online. And because if you're thinking I don't really understand, how do you expect to write an answer when you have not read the book yourself? So please read the book. If reading is not for you, then I want to really stress on the fact that that you should not be in this is not the course. This is not going to be helpful. If you don't like this, it's not going to help you. Okay, so please read. All right. Another thing. So moving on to that, I hope I made myself clear about this. So as I was saying, and this is very crucial, that there is an absence of tragedy in Indian drama precisely because the idea of death itself is not seen as something tragic. An idea of death means that you will either be reborn or you will gain moksha. So it's not seen as something tragic, and therefore we don't have that. All right. And in Greek theater, there is an adherence to the three unities. The three unities are basically the unities of time, space, and action. Okay, so what this basically means is that we are not looking for sorry, just a minute. Yeah, we are not looking for the three unities are, if it's time, place, and space. So it would mean that the play would happen, let's say in Greek theater, जहाँ पे एक ही setting में play होगा, or at least like let's say अगर city of Delhi में हो रहा है, तो हो सकता है कि एक चीज कहीं करोल बाग में हो रही है, दूसरी चीज Connaught Place में हो रही है. For example, the time would not also be hundreds and hundreds of years का play नहीं होगा, जैसे कि Mahabharata goes for like 3 generations, so maximum maybe the time period would be 1 year. Okay, and the action also all of like the way action is basically the way the play plays out, or how the action happens in the play. Now, when I say action, I don't necessarily mean that fighting wala action. Action could be anything. Okay, so just how the play proceeds. All right. So this is not strictly observed in Indian theatre. For example, the unity of space is not respected because something could happen in heaven, something could also happen on earth. So that does not happen in Greek theatre. Like if something is happening on earth, it will happen on earth. Okay, like so, like for example, in Shakuntala, I don't know how much. I don't know if you've finished it already. I think you guys have finished Shakuntala already. Maybe not. But agar aapne Shakuntala khatam nahi kari hai, so it's like some of it happens in the kingdom, some of it happens in the forest, some of it happens in heaven. So there's no unity of space. Har kahin bhi kuch bhi ho raha hai. Time, that aspect of time also, that sometimes stories like again going back to Shakuntala, the stories can go on and on for hundreds, not for hundreds, but Shakuntala goes on for like many years. Like the actual story time in the story is like for many years. Okay. However, what is very interesting is that Sudraka's play actually does does respect the three unities of time, and the three unities of time, space, and action. So it is actually respected. Okay. And then furthermore, dance and song are an important part of Indian drama. Okay, and not found in the Greek counterpart. So this one you can say it's a little debatable, but so they do have the chorus, right? मैंने आपको समझाया, the chorus does sing, and they do comment, and they don't really dance. But so when I say song and dance, I necessarily don't mean just the song. The song and dance go together. So in the Greek counterpart, you do have songs, but they don't dance. So here the dancing and the singing go together. Okay. By here, I mean, of course, Indian drama. And other scholars have also highlighted that the Indian drama was eventually, like, as India had more influences and stuff, so it was also affected by Buddhist and Jain traditions. And so we can say that, while we can see, some similarities between Greek tradition, Indian drama in itself has many of its own traditions, of course, and it has also borrowed from, because we started by saying that it borrows a lot from Vedic traditions versus Hindu, but later on it is also, you see influences of Buddhist and ancient traditions, and ultimately this is what all of this has combined to make what we now refer to as Indian classical drama today. All right, so yeah, I'm just going to do these two more. I will not do these key points, so I'm just going to do till slide 14. Okay, and then tomorrow we will do the rest. Now, Sanskrit drama. Sanskrit drama, again, there are not two types of productions. The first one is called Lokadharmi, which is realistic. Now, when I say productions, it's important that you understand what production means. It is not the same as two types of drama. I'm talking about two types of production. Production मतलब कि आप उसे कैसे produce कर रहे हो उस drama को, okay? So one style of producing is called lokadharmi, which means realistic theatre. Okay, तो उसमें क्या होगा कि for example, जो setting होगी, वहाँ पे एक घर होगा, वहाँ पे एक room होगा, एक बिस्तर है, chair है, table है, ठीक है? And वहाँ पे जो characters होंगे वो they would represent real life characters, and it would show the natural representation of how human characters behave. So जैसे कि मैं आपसे अगर आप बात कर रही हूँ, तो this is the way I talk. All right. Now the other form is called Natyadharmi. Okay, Natyadharmi में क्या होता है कि it's a more stylized form of drama. It's more, and by stylized I don't mean stylish, I mean stylized. What this means is that it would involve more gestures, it would involve more symbols. Okay, so it would be something more artistic. Like it would be more like a dance, like, well, so basically, for example, when you see Bharatnatyam, there's a lot of symbols and so on and so forth, right? So a stylized theater would be something which is more artistic, which has more dance, which focuses more on, how you're gesturing, how you're symboling, and so on and so forth. Okay, so so this is called a Natya Dharmi. So that would be a Natya Dharmi. Okay, so for example, in Shakuntala, the king enters riding an imaginary chariot. Of course, and then in Shakuntala also plucks flowers which are not there. And then in Little Clay Card, there's a scene where a thief will break into a non-existent wall. So what is really happening, and I will not talk about Shakuntala, I will talk about the Little Clay Card. It is effectively most of the, and this is where what Sudraka is doing is that he's breaking the binary. It's not complete. So it is largely a play which is Lokadharmi, which represents natural human behavior. But in parts, it is also Natya Dharmi because it also has some stylized elements in it. So it is not completely Lokadharmi. It is a majority Lokadharmi, but with some elements of Natya Dharmi. Okay, so what I'm saying is that these two categories can also sort of merge together in a production. They don't necessarily always have to be completely different. Right, and the earliest available classical dramas are 13 plays which were written by Bhasa. And they were not written in 1912, but they were finally, like, picked up and edited and sort of made into a book by somebody called Pandit Ganapati Shastri. Okay, and these plays, so the first actually available plays, classical plays that were discovered by this writer called Bhasa, and it was from 3 to 4 century AD. And this included this one-act play, which was called Urubhanga, the Broken Thigh. And very interestingly, Bhasha also had a play which was a tragedy where the hero actually died, where a hero dies, which was very different. And another play called Sapna Vashadatva. So you don't need to remember this. I've just put this for your own reference. Now, some of the main classical playwrights. So as you most of you know, we already told you about Bhasa, which is most likely the first, chronologically, historically, the first Indian classical playwright. We have Kalidasa, we have Bhavduti, we have Harsha, we have Sudraka, and this is just to name a few. And of course, there could have been many, many more, but these are the names that have who were supposedly the best, and that's why we're still studying them thousands and thousands of years later. Now, as I already said, that I told you in the last slide, that Bhasa actually has a play which has a tragedy, which is a tragedy, and I've been telling you over and over that we don't have tragedies in Indian plays, right? However, the fact that Bhasa's play does have a tragedy, why is it so? How, etc., etc. And here the thing is that it's just something which is like, so why do we have this? And there are multiple reasons for this. One of them, people say that Bhasa is probably much older than Natya Shastra, and they were written before Bharat Muni said that this is how Natak should be written. But while many people think that Bhasa just did not care, like he did not care about those dramatic conventions. He was experimenting. He was trying to find new alternatives, and he just did whatever he did. So in a way, Bhasa was very rebellious because he was not really following the typical Indian traditions of the fact that Indian plays cannot have tragedy, and he was still doing it. And one of the best known, Sanskrit dramatists, and he has been translated into numerous works even in foreign languages, is Kalidasa, and there is no parallel. And you already have been studying Abhijana Shakuntalam, the recognition of Shakuntala, right? Now, and here is the thing, and this is very important, and this is where I will end our session today. And this sort of comes, and we kind of come back into a whole loop of what we just studied till now. The first 4 acts of Sudraka is actually a copy. It's actually a copy from a play which Bhasa did not finish. It's pretty much an entire copy from a play which Bhasa did not finish. And this play was called Charudattam. There could be a chance that Bhasa actually did not finish it, or maybe we were not able to find the full play. And the theory is that, and this sort of connects us back to the whole argument about what are we, like, who is the author, is that Sudraka is actually not his real name, and he's not a king as he claims to be in the play, himself. It's actually by just somebody who really liked how Bhasa wrote, and therefore he tried to simply finish Sudraka's play, and he called it Marchikitaka. So there were 4 acts, and he decided, okay, I will continue the rest of the play, and I will use my imagination, and I will finish the play. And therefore, he named himself Sudraka, because Sudraka literally means little servant, and here it means he is the little servant of Bhasa. Okay, so I hope this was a good, helpful class. I tried to really go slow because I know in the previous classes I was asked that, ma'am, thoda dheere padhaiye, thoda dheere padhaiye. So I hope this was helpful. Any other, if you have, this is the end of the class, but agar aapko, I will look at some questions, but I cannot promise I will look for another 10-15 minutes. But agar aapko jana hai, to you can leave. All right, so that's not an issue. You can leave. All right. So, but the class is over. So anybody, you know, and these would be recorded. So, agar aapko baad mein bhi dekhna hai, to you can do it. Okay. So, bye everyone. Have a good class. Have a good rest of the day, and have a good weekend. And I will actually see you tomorrow. So, too bad aapka weekend bhi jaldi shuru nahi hoga. All right. Okay, everyone. Goodbye. Bye. And I will just see the comments here. Simi has a very good point. She says, ma'am, so basically what drama explain is not about dialogues. That's they say that means there's each expression which they use during the act, that they also connect to people from the message they want to perform or give. Yeah, that's a very good point. I'm going to publish this so others can also read it. What is the rasa element in drama? The rasa element is basically, there are 9 rasas, and they are basically different sentiments. So there is veer ras, the courage ras, karuna ras, the sadness ras. There's prem ras, of course, and that might be a different name, but something like that. So the idea of a ras is that these emotions are performed on the stage, right? Like, so if a heroine is very sad, it's karuna ras which is being portrayed, and that sort of has a mirror effect to you. So when the heroine is sad, you also feel sad. So that's the idea of a ras. Okay. Janavi is asking, ma'am, as you said that caste system is based on who speaks what, then no, caste system is not based on who speaks what. Caste system is based on caste. And based on your caste, you get access to learning Sanskrit or not. So, like, somebody, a lower caste person would not get an opportunity to learn Sanskrit. So he's very unlikely to speak Sanskrit. Okay. Sutradhara is basically a narrator. Yes, kind of. You can say Sutradhara is basically a narrator. Yeah. Is an actor also a narrator? Not really. No. Ashutosh Tiwari, please don't spam. I can't even see what your doubt is. You have just typed. The restriction to not to learn Sanskrit. Now, this is, was it also on women from the royal families? We don't know that. So it's now that dependent. This was a case by case thing. Some of the royal women did speak Sanskrit because they were taught it. Some of them not. Does gestures also mean expressions? In a way, gestures, जैसे मैं अब हाथ हिला रही हूँ, are a way to express things, but expressions are essentially your facial expressions. But yes, gestures are also used to express. Okay. Diksha, that's your question. How did the higher caste and lower caste talk? Because all of them spoke Prakrit. Everybody was speaking. Like, it's not that only higher caste who spoke Sanskrit also were able to talk Prakrit. That's how they talked to each other. Ashutosh's question. If their mother tongue is Sanskrit, yes, they would speak. If somebody's taught Sanskrit since they were a child, they would speak. Doesn't matter who this is. Is a host? No, it's not a host. A host is, the concept of a host is not in a play. Ma'am, did the women of upper class were also dominated by men as they could also not read and write? Of course, women are, even now, even now, upper class women are dominated by men. Like it doesn't even matter about the read and write. Like the domination of women have happened regardless of class. Like a king is always more superior than a queen, right? Um, Discrimination was part of other parts of the world, yes, but you also have to specify what type of discrimination, because discrimination is a very what term. What type of discrimination do you mean? Is it caste? Of course, caste discrimination is not possible in Europe. So you can say that, of course, there is race discrimination, and it even happens now. Like white people are considered more superior than people like me or people like you, you know? So, yeah, good question. But you have to mention, you can say yes, and not even in less ratio. Like you can argue that racism is actually far worse in Europe than you can say yes, discrimination exists everywhere around the world, but they are of different types. This was Ananya's question. Dramas are performed by men. Yeah, we are still performing Ramayana as a drama. That's true. Ma'am, dance or Gana to drama, maybe koi, I don't know. Ma'am, but in Nukkad Natak, we need a bold and confident, soft voice. No, I did not say a soft voice. I said that the idea, yes, you need a bold and confident voice. What I was saying was that you need to talk. That it means that you are not you're not speaking from a higher position. Like you are all speaking amongst each other, is what I'm saying. Sneha, what are you even asking? Like some of these questions, there are no subtitles at that time. This is a play being performed on stage. वहाँ पे subtitles कैसे आएंगे? And it's just absurd, the kind of questions sometimes I get. So, ma'am, can we say discrimination in caste didn't lead the growth of Indian drama? Absolutely, yes. That's a very good question. Very good question, Kumkum. I'm going to publish it. Yes, they do have formats. Like I was saying, Sushmita, plays have format. Yes, plays do have formats. They have formats like a written play, like they had a play would have acts and then acts would have scenes. Okay. Um, okay. I am almost done. What is a Natya Dharmi, Ananya? Ma'am, is there a class at 3 o'clock today? That's not my class. That would be, I think, Shreya's class. Natya Dharmi, so there are two types of productions, like the way you show the drama. There are two types. Natya Dharmi is when it is more stylized, means that वहाँ पे थोड़ा dance, मतलब वहाँ पे जो थोड़ा जो हम लोग जैसे naturally बात करते हैं ना, that वैसा नहीं होगा. It would be थोड़ा उसमें dances होंगे, gestures होंगे. It would be more artistic. While Lokadharmi is just very just drama, the way we talk about, speak and behave in real life. All right. So this is where I would end. Thank you very much, everyone. I am very glad that. Can I give a hint what will come in your exam? I can't, because I don't. Sometimes I'm not the one who sets papers. We do give our questions and everything. So everyone. Uh, okay, so somebody said that, ma'am, can you put some comments? Should I just make an announcement and maybe you can all see it? Okay, thank you, everyone. I am going to leave now. All the best. Take care. See you tomorrow. Bye.